A Fox News alert: Israeli fighters battling massive fires across that country, including one in the country's third largest city of Haifa. Tens of thousands were evacuated and just now getting back to a look at the damage as firefighters try to get it under control. John Huddy has the latest from our Middle East Bureau in Jerusalem. John?
Yeah, well, Greg, the fires there at this point are largely under control, but security officials say they appear to have been started by arson, and that's one of the big headlines here. But before I get to that, let me walk you through and give you what we call the nuts and bolts of what's been happening. At this point, the 70,000 residents that were evacuated from their homes in Haifa, as you mentioned, Israel's third largest city north of Tel Aviv, have been allowed home, unfortunately, to burned out apartments and some burned out buildings. But again, with the exception of some flare-ups and hot spots, those fires, we understand, are largely under control. About a half a dozen other fires, however, are burning in Israel, in particular the Jerusalem mountains, which are in the distance behind me. Some small villages, according to officials, have been evacuated, and the estimate now is that about 2,000 acres have burned. I know it doesn't sound like a lot compared to the wildfires that burn in the western part of the U.S., but for Israel, that is a lot. The other main headline today is about arson. Many security and political officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, say that these fires are terrorism in the form of arson, specifically that politically motivated Palestinians are setting some, if not all, the fires. Some of the headlines have called this the arson intifada. And so far, Israeli security officials say that about a dozen people have been detained thus far. That number could be higher. We're waiting on more information as far as that goes. But the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank has sent actually help, or at least resources and crews to help Israel out. The good news, another piece of good news in all of this, is the help that Israel's getting from its neighbors and allies. Egypt and Jordan have sent resources over. Also, Greece, Turkey, Russia, Italy, and Cyprus have sent aerial support and crews as well. And the U.S. says it's sent about 50 firefighters to help as well. And another final point, Greg, the weather seems to be cooperating. While it's dry, it's not as windy as we've seen this past week. And Wednesday, it's supposed to rain, so that will be a big help.
It surely will. John Huddy, live in the Middle East. Thanks very much, John.